It is 10:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Vanderbilt baseball's late comeback fell short as the Commodores were eliminated from the postseason Sunday with a 5-4 loss to Wright State in the Nashville Regional. Vandy is the first number one seed in college baseball to fail to make it to the regional final. Tennessee will finish out the Knoxville Regional tonight against Wake Forest, playing for a spot in the Fayetteville Super Regional. First pitch is at 5 p.m. Wake Forest forced a rematch with a 7-6 win over the Vols on Sunday night. Tennessee softball is on to the national semifinal in the Women's College World Series, beating UCLA 6-5 in extra innings on Sunday. They will face 6-seed Texas, needing to beat the Longhorns twice to advance. First pitch on the first game is coming up at 11 a.m. And Ryan Blaney won the Cracker Barrel 400 at Nashville Superspeedway on Sunday, locking up his first win of the season. The Titans made a signing in running back Ty Davis Price. According to Ian Rappaport, the former Niners and Eagles back signs a 2-year deal. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What a weekend in the city of Nashville, Tennessee. You thought CMA Fest was a big deal? Well, it was a hell of a warm-up to get us all ready for everything that's about to take over our city in the next, it's probably already upon our shores. It's too late to run and hide from the CMA Fest, but this weekend, man, was crazy. The Music City Rodeo, the Cracker Barrel 400, everything that happened with Vanderbilt, Tennessee, the Lady Vols in softball, basketball. We have an NBA Finals. And I suppose there's a Titan signing or two we got to talk about. Good morning. The band is back together. Robert, Lucas, and me until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Good morning, boys. Good to be back together.
Good morning. It was a wild day of postseason softball and baseball yesterday. And that's on top of the NASCAR race, which followed the rodeo. So, yeah, a quietly busy weekend in Music City. CMA Fest is when?
This week.
Like this weekend?
Well, the actual festival is Thursday, but like all of the other stuff that it comes to town, the Spotify House, the different Broadway bars being taken over, the performances start basically today.
Jordan on the F&M Bank chat says, lots of horsepower this weekend with the rodeo and NASCAR. And I will add a zebra running around Rutherford County.
Is that a cousin of the horse? Is that like what is the family tree of the zebra and the horse relation? It's like a capybara is closer to related to a horse than it is a rat, even though it looks like a rat. I don't know what the genealogy is.
A rodent, the capybara, but is a zebra a horse?
They are of the same genus of Equus.
Okay, very good. Robert also had some drama in, I thought he was wearing ECU stuff in here. It's happenstance that your favorite NFL team and your favorite college program rock the same colors, but you had a dramatic, stressful weekend too. Where were you, at a wedding? I know Cheyenne made you both some money at the casino. You, by the way, are dead weight when it comes to gambling.
I am, I wouldn't say that I left up. Only $20, but I left up. We gambled for 4 hours. Cheyenne, who dug herself an incredible hole and ended up on the other side up 500. I don't know how she does it. It was an incredible wedding. It was a very North Carolina Southern wedding. And tell about the time that the reception started. And I don't know if you guys are very familiar with Young Dolph, but Young Dolph's
sure.
I got cocaine running through my system starts blasting.
Classic.
And you can see all of the geriatrics in the crowd kind of going like, well, this was a nice wedding. It was fun to see you, but I'm going to leave. Grandma, you don't want to stay for one more Aperol Spritz? No, it's okay. They're playing the devil music. I'm going to head to my car. It was great. Then we just played Young Dolph until like 11 o'clock and they kicked us out. Also, uberly upset with the city of Nashville. I thought that y'all had rednecks here. Well,
there was a rodeo and a NASCAR race. I went to both, and there was plenty of that kind of person running around.
Well, maybe that's why the zebra was allowed to run for as long as it was. But I'm here to tell y'all that if that would have happened in my neck of the woods, there wouldn't have been a video of it running on the highway. There would have been a video of my dad running it into a horse trailer and then saying, no, this zebra is mine now. Y'all would have seen a Facebook video about...
You don't think somebody tried to claim that zebra from the south? Apparently, it's not like a zoo animal. It's like a household pet.
Sure. But the video on Facebook, the title would have been, have y'all tried zebra meat? Like, from where I'm from, somebody would have done caught this thing.
It's a raccoon's not the most exotic thing we're eating these days. Come on down. We're having a barbecue, kids.
Well, people get mad about eating horses, so you probably can't eat a zebra either.
Do they? Is a horse off the like taboo?
Throw it on a poll. Would you taste horse? Would you try horse? Don't even put a parameter around it. Don't even let anybody know. Would you try horse meat? Would you try horse meat?
Well, phrasing.
Anyway, great weekend.
It was a great weekend. I think the two of you really need to consider going to the rodeo or NASCAR or both with me because I went to both and they were electric. I didn't see a second of rodeo action. I just went for the concert on Friday, but
I would have missed the postseason action yesterday because it was a great weekend, but not for Vanderbilt
for the
fans.
NASCAR stuff?
Yeah,
The Vandy situation. NASCAR was all 3 days, and they very generously offered all of us passes for the entirety of the weekend, so we could have done some NASCAR stuff without missing the postseason baseball. But man, Vandy choking like dogs, unbelievable. The fact that they finished their regular season as impressively as they did. Nobody wants to play Vandy, right? They're a wagon. Look at them roll through the SEC tournament. Tennessee gets a crack at them. They get run ruled. And everything that resulted, first in the Louisville loss over the weekend, and then the loss to Wright State. The Wright State Raiders, the mighty Wright State Raiders, coming in to Nashville and making Vanderbilt the first national 1 seed to not reach the regional final.
Yeah.
Ending their season, sending them home in shame and collapse. Where are these? There's like 2 of them that call in here and chirp you as a Tennessee fan.
I told Eli, who called in on Friday.
Oh, is he the gentleman and Lucas?
Yeah, hello, gentleman and Lucas. And I appreciate Eli and his trash talk, but I did tell him Friday that, okay, but you need to stand on it, right? Because his big claim was that Tennessee's going to crash out and Vandy's going to cruise to a super regional. Now, Tennessee still has not yet made it to the super regional. They have to win today against Wake Forest, who, to their credit, won back-to-back games yesterday, pushed Tennessee to the brink, and then walked it off with a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 9th yesterday at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. But I told Eli he's got to stand on it because the up and down of the last 2 weeks alone for Vanderbilt are hard to fathom. When a week ago, we were literally opening the show talking about, is this the best coaching job of the Tim Corbin era at Vanderbilt? And now here we are.
And he's up there saying he didn't feel like he prepared them adequately, and especially after now Aria Gerson is going to make her debut on the show. She covers Vanderbilt athletics exclusively. And there was an exchange between Aria and Tim Corbin that got some traction on the internet just because Tim Corbin is not usually, he's just very even-keeled at every press conference I've ever seen of Tim Corbin. I'm not going to Tim Corbin press conferences regularly, but we've talked enough Vandy baseball on the show throughout the course of the years, or throughout the years, and heard enough interviews of Tim Corbin on this radio station and everything else that he's done, that it was kind of surprising after the Louisville loss where he's just kind of, he's biting back a little bit.
A little snippy.
Well, it's like when people freaked out about Greg Sankey having a little bit of attitude, and then it's just very calm and mild-mannered, and that's kind of the same thing for Tim Corbin. But so they lose to Louisville. He's a little snippy in a press conference afterwards, and then it's just as weak and embarrassing a way for their season specifically to end after all of us were just left hugely impressed by the rebound that the Vanderbilt program, right? They're not going to let Tennessee, the defending national champions, take all their stuff, right? They're not going to be little brother as a baseball program when they have been the big brother to Tennessee athletics only in baseball up until last season. And it gave the Tennessee fans, who survived, by the way, dodged a bullet of their own in that UCLA Lady Vols softball game that, one of the dumbest reviews that couldn't be reviewed in the history of time, that almost cost them the opportunity of the game. Lady Vols were able to survive.
Yeah, that was insane.
And continue to advance in the Women's College World Series. But just a bat-bleep crazy weekend of sports across the board.
Appendix G almost put the Lady Vols into the national semifinal and ended UCLA's season. So 4-2, bottom of the 7th, UCLA down to their last out. Girl hits a 2-run homer to tie it up, make it 4-4 in the bottom of the 7th. She doesn't step over home plate, or she doesn't step on home plate when her teammates are waiting for her to mob her in celebration at the end of it. She has a teammate who was on the on-deck circle grab her and guide her back to make sure she steps on home plate. And then we're stuck in a 15-minute review to figure out if that's legal or not, just for the umpire to tell us that it is not a reviewable play, according to Appendix G, and the run counted, and we played on. And that game was up and down and all over the place, and the Lady Vols end up surviving in extras. They have to beat Texas twice today, with the first game coming up in less than an hour at 11 to get to the National Championship Series in Oklahoma City.
Does this TV work? Are we going to be able to watch that game?
Nope.
No.
Wait, why is there a TV in here if it doesn't work?
For appearances. Like that's kind of how we look at you. It's like, why is Buck here if he doesn't work? It's just to keep up appearances.
Oh, fair enough. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on any of the things that happened this weekend. If you were rodeoing, if you went to NASCAR and enjoyed the Cracker Barrel 400 or any of the events that NASCAR put on in Lebanon over the weekend. The baseball, the softball, it's all on the table for you. We'll even mix in a little Titans too throughout the course of the day. But coming up next, we'll hone in on that Vanderbilt choke job with Aria Gerson, who covers Vandy athletics for the Tennessean, coming up next. You want to make sure that your financial house is in order, and sometimes that's not an easy thing to do. It can be overwhelming if you don't have the right people in place to guide you through it. That's what Trajan Wealth is here to help you do. If you spend as much time planning for your retirement as you do planning for your upcoming summer vacation, Trajan Wealth is the spot for you because they plan your financial future like a dream summer vacation, as a matter of fact. The simple truth is that there is more to retirement planning than simply calculating your expenses. Trajan Wealth can help you design a strategy based on realistic options that align with your goals and your circumstances. And if you're interested in wealth management that's designed to protect, maintain, and expand your financial portfolio, Trajan Wealth offers retirement income planning services that start with an in-depth understanding of your short and long-term goals. So call Trajan Wealth today to learn more about these strategies. The number is easy, 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. They have 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee, Brentwood and Franklin, or online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Vandy, an epic collapse as the number one national seed, the first one to not make a regional final. Losses to Louisville, losses to Wright State that ended up being their undoing. And Aria Gerson has covered it all. She covers all things Vanderbilt athletics for the Tennesseans. She's kind to make some time for us on what I'm sure was a much less busy Monday than she was probably anticipating. Thanks for hopping on, Aria. How are we living today?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I guess how would you describe the series of events that took place over the weekend between Vanderbilt and the opponents that they were hosting?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that, you know, Tim Corbin will always say, like, the team that gets comfortable the fastest or the team that settles in the fastest will win. And Vandy never looked like they got comfortable. And I thought that after the first game against Wright State, after the way that they won that game, that maybe things would turn around and they'd get a little more loose after they won the first game, but they just didn't. And it looked like they were pressing all weekend and that they were playing themselves as much as they were playing other teams offensively. You know, their pitching was really good still, save that one inning, the first inning against Wright State. But, you know, the offense just did pretty much absolutely nothing outside of like a couple of players. So that was really their undoing. And it didn't look like the team, especially in terms of the vibe. I had always gotten like a more relaxed, fun vibe from this team compared to Vandy teams in past years, but that just completely disappeared once it got into the regional.
And obviously, you know, your job is to report fact-based information as opposed to offer opinion. But is there anything that you can discern that changed? Because, I mean, it was one of the most impressive ways to finish a regular season that you could have envisioned for a program that had to, you know, basically get their noses rubbed in it by Tennessee last year and looked to be coming on. I mean, they looked to be a freight train, Aria.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what happened because, again, you know, there was all this stuff, whether it was the Tennessee series and the way that, like, they kind of talked back to Tennessee for really the first time since I've been here. And then there was, you know, the whole stuff with taking the SEC tournament trophy to Buc-ee's and some of that kind of stuff. It just seemed like was stuff that hadn't happened earlier on. And I thought that was a sign that they were playing a little more loose. And, you know, especially all the late comeback wins too in the regular season, the Kentucky series, the Alabama series. You know, I thought that showed something mentally that this team had that other teams in the past didn't. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't there this weekend.
Aria Gerson covers Vandy athletics for the Tennessean. You can follow her at Aria_Gerson on Twitter.
So, Aria, a week ago, we were talking about how this season, in terms of coaching jobs by Tim Corbin, stacks up with one of the best, turning things around from an obviously inconsistent bulk of the season to that run they went on to now literally making history over the weekend. How complicated is this year for Tim Corbin when you take a step back and try to figure out, given the standard that he has set for Vanderbilt baseball and what they accomplished during the regular season and winning an SEC championship, but falling flat the way they did, where do you kind of land on how to sort of judge this season at a macro level?
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, I do think that he did a good job with this roster because, like, one of the discussions that I've had is, like, if you look at how many first round picks Vandy has on this roster, it might actually be 0. And when you look at how many first round picks Tennessee has on their roster, it's probably like a half dozen or more. And so, like, with that level of, you know, not necessarily having that much top end talent to get where they were. And to be clear, like, they were still more talented than these other teams that they were in the regional with. But that's what makes it even, like, kind of a harder pill to swallow, because I don't think you can use a boogeyman here, like in the past, where you're like, oh, well, we just need to pay more NIL, get more transfers, fire assistant coaches, whatever it is that, you know, was used as the reasoning after the past couple seasons. I don't think you can go here and be like, oh, well, you know, they just need to make this one change and it'll all be fixed.
You interact with Vandy fans on a daily basis. How divided is this fan base right now? Because I saw all sorts of takeaways ranging from, all right, time for Corpse to hang it up, to, you know, this team kind of
They're trying to
punched
retire
above
him?
their weight at the end of the year. Like, how divided do you think this fan base is? Is there any sort of consensus right now on where things stand with Vanderbilt baseball and Tim Corbin?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, there's been a divide going back a while because there's always people that are like, you know, Tim Corbin is behind on the times, and there's other people who are like, how dare you criticize anybody that has won 2 national titles? And, you know, especially with this particular postseason where, like I said, it wasn't like last year where they clearly just weren't that good and they went 0-2 in the regional because they just weren't that good. I don't think that was the case this year. And, you know, there was some luck that played into it as well, you know, specifically the ground rule double in the 9th inning and a few of the other plays that you can point to. And honestly, dating back all the other regionals too, 7 of the 8 games that they've lost in those regionals have been by 1 run, which does indicate like some bad luck happening there. You know, I'm not saying that's the only explanation for it, but that's definitely something I've seen fans pointing, like more willing to point to this year compared to in previous years.
It's just, I mean, the thing that's made them so remarkable is the sustainability of it, Ari. And to your point about there not being a boogeyman in this particular situation is, as far as Vandy athletics, because you cover the thing as a whole, not just baseball, even though that's the thing that's kind of, you know, carried the load for Vandy athletics here in the last couple of years. Certainly the thing that they hang their hat on, or one of the things that they hang their hat on the most. It's surprising to see any kind of crack in the armor that is Tim Corbin, even though, to your point, this is at least they are becoming more common, these I don't even want to call them missteps, to your point about there's being a number of different things that are responsible for Vandy looking a little more mortal as a baseball program than they have in years past. And I wonder what you, as somebody who's covered this thing for quite some time at this point, have made of the new, or I guess Tim Corbin in the new era, to your point about fans kind of going back and forth on, is he adjusting the way that he needs to adjust?
Yeah, so one thing that I noticed is that this year they made an adjustment to their pitching strategy, how they were, you know, which pitchers they targeted in the portal and what they were doing pitching wise. And it worked honestly to perfection. What they did was really, really good, and they should keep doing it because what they're doing is really different from what other teams are doing. Other teams are just chasing as many high velocity pitchers as they can get, not caring, you know, about pitch movement, about other pitches, throwing strikes, anything. They just want velocity. And Vandy's kind of gone the other direction where they're like, we're going to look at pitch movement, at changeup quality, arm slots, funky arm slots, getting guys like Cody Bowker and Connor Fennell. I mean, they had the #1 strikeout rate in the entire country on their pitching staff, and like they should keep doing that. Offensively is kind of a different story because I don't think the problem is like that NIL and the portal exist so much as it is that they have not done the best job in using those things effectively. Like if you look at the transfers that they brought in, were very hit or miss. Like obviously Riley Nelson was great, but they had a few other transfers they brought in that they didn't really get anything out of. And maybe they could have used those roster spots or the NIL money more effectively to bring in, you know, those players offensively. And it seemed like at first, and this changed later in the season, but at first they were using an offensive strategy that didn't really fit the roster that they had. It felt like they were saying they wanted to bring in more power. And then at first they kind of were fighting against that, like not necessarily wanting to play that style. And I think there has to be adjustments that are made there, because one of the things I've talked about is like the whole like recruit a bunch of up the middle players and put them at every position on the field doesn't work very well in college anymore, because it's actually become predominant in MLB, which means that all these players are getting drafted out of high school that fit that profile. And so one of the best ways to get really good bats in your college program is get players that don't profile up the middle, because MLB scouts don't like them as much. And that, perfect example of that would be Brody Johnston, or in that, scouts felt like he was a third baseman and not a shortstop. And so they weren't as interested in drafting him. And so Vandy got him on campus. And they need to kind of, look at that a little more in terms of, you don't have to sacrifice defense, because like Brody Johnston is a really good third baseman, but you have to look at having a real third baseman, having a real first baseman, not just somebody who moved over from second base, but like somebody who actually is made to play that position, and having more physical power threats and just more complete offensive players in the lineup, because I feel like this year was better than in previous years, but it's still not where they need it to be.
Aria, thank you so much for the time, and we certainly appreciate the reporting. Again, Aria_Gerson is where you can follow her on social. You can read her and everything else that our friends at the Tennessean are doing, of course, online, or if you're still getting the newspaper, you can do that too. Thank you, Aria. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Man, what a weird spot for Vanderbilt fans to be in. I hadn't delved in. I'm surprised you went into the mentions, or was it just inescapable as you were scrolling?
Yeah, no,
social
it's just
media?
reaction. I mean, it's just the reaction. And people have had discussions about Tim Corbin now for the last 4 years. Like, this is not a new thing for Vanderbilt, not making it to super regionals. So this is not a new discussion for Vandy fans, that Tim Corbin, he doesn't really have it in terms of taking this team into the next era, which is why what they did was so impressive, which is why I was ready, if Vanderbilt was going to make a national championship run, to place him in that category of elite of the elite. Not the Nick Saban tier, but just below it in terms of the best active head coaches in the SEC across sports.
Active, for sure.
And then they fell flat on their face the way they did. They couldn't bat over 138 in any of their games in the Nashville Regional, and to not even make it to a regional final. And Aria's right. Like, luck was not on their side. That ground rule double, I felt it. I felt awful for Mike Mancini, who would have jogged across home plate if that ball just stays in the park. It bounces over the wall. He has to stay at third, literally the next pitch. Pop out, game over, season over. And Tim Corbin was emotional after the game. He was snippy after the game on Saturday, like you mentioned. And it's
Do we have that audio, by the way?
From the Saturday after the Louisville loss?
I didn't think it would even be that important to have. I didn't pull it. If you guys, I can grab it really quick.
No, it's not. I mean, that was just our guest, Aria Gerson, who was on the receiving end of Tim Corbin basically being like, did you play the game? Which,
come on.
Gross. I mean, Rexroad, by the way, is texting me viciously about how little I'm aware of Tim Corbin's petulance, apparently. I had no idea he was such a bad loser.
Well, you compared him to Greg Sankey in terms of that even-keeled press conference approach.
Well, maybe it's just his tone.
And, generally when he's speaking, but...
like that, but that wasn't...
He definitely has like that stern grandfather vibe and tone, but Saturday was especially snippy, I would say. And then yesterday, emotional, which, you felt for at the end of these seasons is always a tough thing, but... It's a
I don't know. Not when you have the Saturday stuff. You probably feel a little less bad for him.
I mean, it's not like it was an unfair question, right? Like the offense, a huge issue all weekend long. Okay,
it was the thing. Yeah,
what's the problem? What's happening here? So what a weird place for them to be in, for this standard that nobody but Tim Corbin has set. Tim Corbin and all of his players over the years, right? Like, this was not Vandy baseball when he took over. He made this program from scratch with his bare hands. He has set every standard here that they're falling short of, and they're falling well short of it now.
That's the emphasis.
Yeah.
They are falling short of his standard, and it is a number of years now that they are falling short of his standard, the standard that we all have come to expect. The reason why we talk about Tim Corbin being, in a certain tier of coach, regardless of what sport they play in one of the best conferences, if not the best conference in collegiate athletics, whether you're talking about football, basketball, men's, women's, baseball, or otherwise, like Tim Corbin is regarded as elite, but the shine has come off.
The shine's not coming off of Father's Day this year if you make sure you don't forget it, because Dad's Week on 104.5 The Zone is coming. So if you're looking for a gift for Dad this Father's Day, be sure to tune in on June 9th through the 13th as we give you multiple chances to win Dad tickets to events, concerts, and more. This year, give Dad the best. So listen for a chance to win him prizes from our friends like the Braves, Nashville Soccer Club, the Nashville Sounds, Live Nation, and more. You can visit 1045thezone.com for more info. But Dad's Week, all week long, next week.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. All right. You ready to rub somebody's nose in it?
I respect this, what's about to happen right now.
Eli is up next. What's up, Eli?
Gentlemen, Lucas, this sucks. This really sucks. And I got to stand on it. I said I'd stand on it. Vanderbilt lost. We went out sad as possible. I'm sad as possible. Good job. Good luck tonight. Have a good one. On to football.
Wait, now, Eli, where are you on your baseball coach?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's been like this year in and year out now. It's hard to find somebody better than Tim Corbin, but he's kind of stuck in a no power hitting type of mode right now. He just wants defense. He was really sad he didn't get the defensive team of the year. And I don't know, you can't win a baseball game off of 3 and 4 hits in the 8th and 9th inning, You got to do better.
Well, we do respect the call.
Yes.
You have Lucas's admiration.
My hat's off to you, Eli.
While he tells you to suck it, nerd.
Hey, and you know what? The beauty of it is,
Thanks,
go home
Eli.
and you hate watch that game tonight, because that's what you do
Yeah.
in a rivalry.
You have to give a rat's ass about anything anymore. He's sitting on the couch, bub.
Taylor on the FNM Bank chat says, now we need a sad whistler calling in. Or maybe just a
I
compilation.
don't want to hear from that guy.
Well, you technically would. It would just be like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I
how
want
are
to hear.
you feeling today,
What's
Vandy?
what's the pattern? It's like some awful pattern.
Yeah, just a timid little sad whistle.
There's not a worse. Is there a worse fan in sport than the Vandy Whistler?
Worse. Chiefsaholic. Like, with that, they got robbed a bank.
And he went to jail. That's fine. We don't got to deal with Chiefsaholic anymore. Even though they made like an Amazon Prime thing out of him, which I guess it's an interesting story.
A pretty crazy story.
It is a crazy story.
His
robbing banks
family
and
has a
going-
lifestyle to upkeep. They had to sign his rights off to be in a documentary.
you think they sold him down the river? You think they said, well, he's in jail now. It doesn't
How
matter
the hell
anymore.
are we going to keep this inflatable pool, damn it? Sign the rights over. Sign them.
I didn't really notice the Vandy Whistler that much over the weekend. I don't know if he was a little more subdued or...
I was streaming it on my phone, and it was audible. But, I think the SEC Network and the SEC Network Plus people have found ways to, at least configure the crowd mics to get as far away from him as humanly possible. Because there's just one now, right? There was two for a period of time. Now there's just one.
I think they were a duo for
the
some
Lone
time.
Ranger out there.
Yeah.
Tough scene for Vanderbilt fans. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to talk Vandy. If you want to talk Vols, Tennessee still kicking. Both the Lady Vols in softball, the Women's College World Series, and the men getting ready for another game tonight. What we will talk about coming up next, though, is just a moment of sadness. That I don't know what the age range for sports science is. But there was a tragic story over the weekend regarding the inventor, the creator of sports science, and we'll talk about that coming up next. I mean, are you trying to make this harder on me? You coming back with Hillary Duff? I got to talk about John Brinkus, the founder of Sports Science, dying. What are you doing?
Just put in a song.
Okay. Clearly.
Just put in a song.
Thank you for your sensitivity. Welcome back to the show. We're fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Do you see there's a big, I think it's a Rolling Stone piece on Chris Stapleton in the latest edition. I don't know if it's print or if we're just doing these things digitally anymore. But it's a big paragraph about his Hattie B's order.
I saw that. He goes mild, right?
Yes.
He goes mild because he believes the medium should actually be labeled hot.
Yes.
That was what he said. But Chris Stapleton, unsurprisingly, a man of very good hot chicken taste.
Culture and taste.
By the way, Carlin Pickens is starting again for Tennessee today. She must have thrown 1,000 pitches in the last week alone. It's insane. The shape, the workload that Carlin Pickens takes on the mound. But Tennessee throwing first pitch at 11.
All right. So we will keep you updated with that in the Women's College World Series. But there is news and tragic news at that. John Brinkus was the founder and host of Sports Science. It was a show that was on ESPN for a long, long time. I think all four of us, Ross is here today for reasons that are beyond me. What are you doing here? Why are you here?
I'm just helping out.
What is anyone doing here? Why are you all happily, gainfully employed?
I do what I want to do at home.
It's just I just need the comedy of his voice to break up me doing obituary radio. But either way, John Brinkus passed away, and I did not know. Jesus.
R.I.P. indeed.
Yes, R.I.P. to John Brinkus. Battling depression. And they put out a statement from his Twitter account. His team put out a statement from his Twitter account. John, co-founder of Base Productions, founder of Brinks.TV, and co-creator and host of the 6-time Emmy Award-winning Sports Science, had been battling depression. He lost his fight with this terrible illness on May 31st, 2025. His heartbroken family and friends request privacy at this time and encourage anyone who is struggling with depression to seek help. It's just, he was doing sports analytics before it was popular, essentially. Now, a different version of analytics.
Yeah, he made it fun, right? Like he made science and analytics and data and sports fun with these wacky, crazy scenarios that would never actually happen in a sport. That was just fun to watch.
Like watching Kenny Vaccaro, that's one of the more memorable ones to me when he was still at Texas. They did a Kenny Vaccaro Sports Science. They did a Ray Lewis one too that I feel like John Brinkus needed medical attention after that. Who was the defensive lineman that picked him up and threw him? I think it was was it Casey Hampton?
I tried to find this one earlier. I know Jared Allen did one, but I couldn't remember if he actually hit him. The one me and Lucas watched this morning was Brandon Jacobs, former New York Giants running back, running through him and how much force he creates on a tackle attempt, and he just launches him into the air. He lands with his arm behind him.
Because those guys are just waiting. They're like, this is my moment. I get to physically, the stuff you can only do in cartoons. I'm going to launch this human being 20 feet backwards.
The only show that would rival that is, not to talk about another show while we're talking about a show, but do you remember Pros versus Joes?
Yes.
Oh, God, the pros would annihilate these people. I know the producers were like, hey, can you talk a little junk to him? Get Kurt Angle riled up. I know he has to take you down 10 times in 1 minute, but talk to Kurt Angle like that.
I associate Sports Science with the era of Sports Center that had the left side of the screen sort of with just the run of show.
Yeah.
So you knew what was coming.
Oh, yeah.
And when you saw Sports Science creep up at the bottom of that screen,
you
start to move
legitimately
up,
got excited.
You stuck around. You always stuck around to watch Kevin Love box out a sumo wrestler or something. So, yeah, rest in peace. He brought a lot of us joy in our childhood and teen years watching Sports Center.
Well, and just, fortunately, I don't know anybody in my life who has publicly talked about a battle with depression other than, honestly, Jelly. Just coming off that concert and the way that he has turned it around, but the dark places that people who battle with that constantly go to and how they can just kind of move among people without you ever really knowing that there's something wrong. Obviously taking your own life in any circumstances is the worst possible scenario that can result. But I just, I would offer the opportunity for anybody who's dealing with these things or fighting these things, or if you know somebody in your life, your family members, your friends who are fighting these things on a regular basis, one, take them seriously when they talk to you about them and talk to you about their vulnerabilities in those moments. I know the three of us, I guess 3.5. Is Ross a full person yet? I haven't decided. We tend to make light of a lot of situations, but having never personally experienced, like I'll joke about taking depression naps when I've, something has gone awry in my life or something like that. But there's nothing that can't be solved by reaching out to somebody. So if you're somebody who's battling with those things, you have people around you who are willing to help you. Don't take it to the extreme.
Ross, are you too young to remember sports science? Did you watch sports science?
Oh, I was heavily invested into sports science. My favorite was, I think I was in 8th grade the year Lonzo Ball was at UCLA, and they had him go on the show and throw a pass through a car window with LeVar and LaMelo in the front seat. It was sick.
There's just nothing he can say that we're not going to make fun of, right? We're talking about, take people seriously when they reach out to you, when they display their vulnerabilities. Ross didn't realize that his voice is a vulnerability until we just incessantly make fun of him about it.
What if I was going through something and you were just laughing at me?
Are you?
No.
Okay. In the meantime, when you start to go through something as a result of the on-air bullying, then we will work with you through those.
You
things.
let us know. The beatings will continue until morale improves.
It's kind of the way that we built the show.
Sports science concluded that a Dwight Howard dunk is stronger than 800 toddlers and could power an average Midwest town for 27 minutes.
Just like the force
Yes.
of a Dwight Howard dunk.
Yes.
That's crazy.
This is what we need him to be doing then. We just need him to be dunking consistently.
Him doing the analysis of Calvin Johnson's catch radius and it literally being a 2-car garage is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life.
The what about Giannis? They were talking about Giannis being able to jump farther than a deer. Like they were like, deer can jump like an average of 7.5 feet.
That's a top 5 episode. I think by anybody's metrics, not to rank them, we don't have to do that right now. But
Sure.
honestly, the basketball ones were more intriguing to me than the football ones. Because after a while, like the football ones, it's just, I can hit you very,
just
very
run through
hard.
somebody.
Like,
No, the
Kenny Vaccaro
athleticism.
flying through the air. Kenny, when safety was still being played at a different style. When he was still operating with, he gave one of the best quotes I remember when he signed here after Jonathan Cyprien blew his ACL, like something about fear being their greatest tool or something like that in that position. Like, oh my God.
Robert and I were watching the Pat Mahomes one that he did. What were they?
Where was he still making episodes? Because it's been off ESPN for a while. Right?
It was an ESPN.com exclusive for a minute. They actually put some more out recently. I believe it was, Barkley undergoing a water test, how much force he can generate underwater. That was made January 30th, 2024. I think that was the last time that they put out a sports science clip. But, they put a number out in 2024, but none this year.
What was the Mahomes one? They were because they were just throwing like bags at him, and he had to like dip and dodge these bags and throw the ball into a target. This was when he was a draft prospect after his Texas Tech career.
Talking about how your eye correlation equates to more accuracy, but he was able to keep his eyes locked on his target while also maneuvering around heavy bags.
We're just watching Mahomes, just eyes in the back of his head, dipping around these bags that are coming at him at every angle. We're like, how did we not know?
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, John Brinkus had a way to help you understand the unimaginable things that these athletes do. Like, it's one thing to see it on your television or as it's reeling across your screen during a Red Zone Sunday or something like that. But for him to go through the motions, to take the time to diagnose the kind of skills that these guys had and understand how to properly test them. Like, I'm sure there was a team associated with John Brinkus. Like, it's not a one-man show out there putting on the sports science show, but like he really quantified just how much more spectacular those athletes are than your average human being.
Who is the athlete now that John Brinkus never got to do a sports science episode with that we would most want to see in an episode of sports science?
That's a good question.
So Ross had a good submission, but I think Wembanyama got to do one with him last year. Wembanyama would have been a great case study about height and whatever.
Wingspan.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
It sounds like he was able to do these things with just about everybody. I mean, in the modern day, right?
Or to give a Titan spin to it, if they were doing sports science
something Derek
regularly,
related.
Derek, but Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah.
Like how quickly he can generate enough, like this, how much a car weighs and it creates that. I'm not a science guy. I don't know none of this stuff.
He just started throwing terms out there.
Yeah, how much force can his mass generate? What about a crane?
Something to do with inertia. How about a Joe Milton episode?
Oh, stop it.
I mean,
we know how far he can throw an orange, but what about a cannonball?
Exactly. Yeah, okay.
We shot an orange out of a cannon, and it could only go 3/4 as long as Joe Milton could throw it.
You're doing the thing that Ramon Foster many times warned Joe Milton, at least on air, against, which is don't become a sideshow. You just want to make Joe Milton a sideshow.
I'm telling you, if there was a Savannah Bananas for football, Joe Milton would be the all-time quarterback.
just launch it out of the stadium every snap.
Do you guys know that they have
That would do
tryouts?
so much better than the Savannah Bananas?
Yes,
I'm certain. They sold out. You know how many times the Titans have sold out the stadium?
I watched
in like
this-
the last 9 years, Savannah Bananas just came to town and took Nissan over.
This dude on Instagram was like, I'm trying out for the Savannah Bananas or one of their 5 affiliates. He was like, help me with my my persona because it has to be, I can't just be a regular guy. It's like, oh my God, these baseball, now they're going to be kids growing up playing baseball. And it's like, oh, I can't wait to do bat flips for the Bananas. Like, you no longer is the major
Oh, it's
league going
cooler to be a Savannah Banana
Right.
than it is to be an MLB
That's
player.
kind of crazy.
I would argue that.
You're gonna be coaching these middle school kids, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, I'm working on my TikTok dance. Hold on, coach. Like, let me throw it back real quick."
The amount of injuries for kids trying to do backflips in the outfield when they're catching a pop
I mean,
fly.
but these-
strong ankles.
These things always happen, though, right? It's when Steph Curry, starts to become Steph Curry, the greatest shooter in basketball history for all time, and kids are just pulling up from the logo at half court trying to be Steph Curry when there's very clearly and obviously a skill set that only that man has.
This is just rude. Someone said put Will Levis on a sports science episode to see how many turnovers. What's the maximum number of turnovers Will Levis could commit in one game?
I would watch that.
We need to get AI on it. AI could do it. AI's coming up with all these like.
AI has done enough damage to Will Levis.
Not-
Unless we're going to make Lucas
on
the
it.
voice of AI when it comes to Will Levis things, like I think we hang up that bit for a while. That's the only thing that our show has been on the forefront of is getting outsourcing work to AI. All right. We're going to get into some NFL stuff. We're going to do a lot of stuff in the second hour. There's the NBA Finals that are set. We've got phone calls to take. There's an NFL front office tears exercise, TIERS, not tears as in tears of sadness, not Vandy tears from this weekend. And NASCAR, too. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. If you are a guy that is starting to feel a little more sluggish or just generally more tired, not like you used to, you don't have to give up hope and just chalk these things up to the aging process. You need to find the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic because those common frustrations that I just mentioned, they are a part of the aging process, but it doesn't have to be inevitable. Low energy and performance issues aren't inevitable. In fact, solutions do exist, and they exist at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The difference there is there's no guesswork, no gimmicks, just real science and effective treatments. Generic online pills are overpriced and ineffective, and you don't want to put your future in their hands. You want to have a personalized treatment plan. You want multiple urologists and providers to tailor solutions specifically to your body and to your goals. And that's exactly what the Tennessee Men's Clinic does. They offer comprehensive men's services, ED treatments, testosterone therapy, and other options that a lot of dudes don't even know exist. It's affordable and accessible. Your consultation includes blood work with results before you leave the building. Act now. Stop procrastinating because it's only going to get worse. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or visit them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com today.
It is 11:04. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Vanderbilt baseball's late comeback fell short as the Commodores were eliminated from the postseason Sunday with a 5-4 loss to Wright State in the Nashville Regional. Vandy, the first number one seed in college baseball history to fail to make it to the regional final. Tennessee will finish out the Knoxville Regional tonight against Wake Forest, playing for a spot against Arkansas in the Super Regional. First pitch coming up at 5 p.m. later today. Wake Forest forced the rematch with the 7-6 win over the Vols last night. Tennessee softball is in the national semifinal in the Women's College World Series, beating UCLA 6-5 in extra innings on Sunday. They are facing 6 seed Texas, needing to beat the Longhorns twice to advance. That first matchup beginning right now. And the Titans made a signing in running back Ty Davis-Price, according to Ian Rappaport, the former 49ers and Eagles back, signing a 2-year deal. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We've got NFL front office tiers, that's TIERS, that we're going to do here in just a minute, and we'll see how we feel about the Titans within the scope of the league. We've got your phone calls to take. It's the second hour, and we're happy to have you. It's Lucas, Robert, and me, and Ross. Until 1 o'clock, 615-737-1045 is the number. You can jump in at any point. We will get to your phone calls momentarily. We've got the F&M Bank chat also for you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can live stream the show if you're so inclined. So, we do have the NBA Finals set, and the NBA is probably not thrilled with the idea of ratings between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But so fan police, how much am I allowed to enjoy the Indiana Pacers in the finals? I will absolutely let you be the judge of this because I don't follow them religiously, but I have very much enjoyed seeing Gainbridge Fieldhouse feel like it used to when I used to go to Pacers games in college. It's been a long time.
Yeah, no, you're from Indiana, so I think it's okay to have a rooting interest, but
I'm just happy to have a good basketball team from the state of Indiana that's not Purdue.
But I just don't want to hear you beating your chest about it.
Well, I want to a little bit because bleep the Knicks. Nothing. I haven't enjoyed a team losing that way, crashing out that way in so long. I couldn't tell you the last time I felt this venomous about a fan base that I was absolutely on the side of. I enjoyed watching them run through the streets. I enjoyed watching them beat the Boston Celtics. I am pro Timothy Chalamet, even though I'm happy to send his ass packing. I like Ben Stiller, too. Like all of these famous Knicks fans that emerged from the woodwork to see their team back in the conference finals. That's all well and good, but damned if it didn't feel good to watch them lose.
So you don't agree with John Mellencamp arguing with the way that people were hosted in Indy?
This was so funny.
What's funnier, him feeling the need to take a moral stance on Knick fan treatment at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, or the actual graphic in which his PR department thought to put it out from his social media account?
The graphic is
I've never
terrible.
seen a less readable graphic in my life.
So we played the audio of Pat McAfee, firing up the Pacers crowd, calling out Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet, saying, we're going to send these sons of bleeps back to New York. And John Mellencamp put out a graphic on his Twitter account where it's just a picture of him and I guess his wife. And the graphic is just white print over that picture. And
so bad.
He's literally wearing a white T-shirt in the picture. So it's very hard to read. But it says, the Knicks-Pacers games have been very entertaining for anyone who likes basketball or sports. I attended Game 4 in Indianapolis. Quote, Hoosier hospitality. I was embarrassed when somebody, under whose direction I don't know, called out some of the people who had made the trip from New York to support their team and in turn support our team. The audience booed these people. I'd say that was not Hoosier hospitality. One could say it's poor sportsmanship. I was not proud to be a Hoosier, and I've lived here my entire life. On behalf of most Hoosiers, I would like to apologize for our poor behavior. I'm sure the Pacers had nothing to do with this smackdown.
Sucking on a chili dog.
He's talking about McAfee?
Yeah, he's definitely talking about McAfee.
McAfee quote tweeted it and was like, "It was me."
I did it. So Mellencamp is a Indiana basketball supporter. He would sit courtside at a lot of games when we were in college and stuff like that. So, but bleep off. Like hardcore bleep off, John. That's neither John Mellencamp nor John Cougar nor John Cougar Mellencamp. All three of you, just bleep off, okay? Knick fans live for this. And while, I am famously anti-sportsmanship, so I'm not the person to take out any kind of moral stance on this. I think that hate in sports is good. And the Knicks fans and the Pacers fans hate each other. And the fact that the Pacers have undermined the Knicks now twice and that Reggie Miller is sitting courtside calling the game and gets to be the one to award the trophy. Ernie Johnson with a really cool move. By the way, we're going to get to the inside the NBA stuff at some point. Well, I guess we might as well do it here.
Yeah,
it made me sad. It made me sad. And Bill Simmons, a former ESPN employee, has been aggregated several times over the weekend saying that he fears that ESPN is going to ruin Inside the NBA with Shaq and Kenny and Ernie and Chuck. No longer on TNT. The NBA is now going to be on ABC, ESPN, and NBC, which has been on NBC before, but it's just been a long, long time since basketball, since NBC had the NBA rights. Bill Simmons' contention is, what's the best part about Inside the NBA?
The banter.
They don't have to cut the banter off for commercial breaks.
Yeah.
What's the worst part about ESPN's NBA coverage?
Yeah, it's like
their halftime
rapid fire
is a minute and a half. It's chock full of commercials because they're trying to make their nut. I get it. But if they try to constipate Inside the NBA with the amount of commercial inventory that they have, which robs us of the banter and the off-the-wall moments, and Shaq and Kenny both dropping an F-bomb in their final TNT broadcast because Shaq's saying, we don't care who's there, we're coming for all your stuff, which I love. But if they butcher that, I don't know that there's a worse thing ESPN can do. And they have to be cognizant of this as well because of how much money they're spending to acquire.
Yeah, the best Charles Barkley moments come at the end of a long tangent where they're way off track and they stop talking about basketball like a full 3 to 4 minutes ago, and they're getting into whatever they're getting into that has brought us some of the absolute all-time Chuck moments on TNT. So people are going to be very upset, like Bill Simmons said, if they mess with that formula.
Also, people acting like Michael Jordan is going to revolutionize NBC's coverage, like, how many appearances Michael Jordan actually going to make? Like, he's not going to be a weekly or every couple of days contributor, right? Like, Michael Jordan going to zoom in a couple of times from that same chair he did The Last Dance in, drink some tequila, be on TV, and sell you some Nikes and move on with his day.
I think it was announced by ESPN he's going to help with their betting segments.
You mean NBC?
Whoever it was.
Yeah. That would be if he actually did that, it would be the most interesting version of it because, like, what's Michael Jordan going to do that Chuck and Kenny and Shaq aren't going to do? He's just going to say, well, I'd beat them, and then he'd move on. Like,
oh, I thought you were going to say take it personally.
Yeah, sure. That would have been the better joke. I don't think Michael Jordan, the competitor, the winner, is interesting. Michael Jordan as an analyst it's like Tom Brady to me.
Are they going to try Inside the NBA on ESPN? Like, are they going to try to squeeze in? I don't know. Are they going to, put Perk in there with those guys?
No, we've talked about this, I think, on Friday. I think they're going to have an AB team, and the A team is going to be Inside the NBA, even though it won't be called Inside the NBA anymore. They'll call it something else. And the B team will be who is currently ESPN's A team, because God knows ESPN has been chasing an A team broadcast on basketball, I don't know, since Inside the NBA went on air. What you got, Bert?
Wouldn't it be funny to watch Shaq and Chuck eat Perk alive?
Oh.
They would.
Just gang up on him.
I'm just like as soon as
I would feel bad for Kendrick Perkins.
I can see Shaq, laughing, with the mic kind of away from his face, doubled over laughing at the corner of the desk while Chuck is going at him and Perk is just kind of caught in the middle. I can see it.
Oh, it would be so good.
That way, they should do that just for the entertainment value of basically a roast of Kendrick Perkins, because he says all kind of dumb bleep.
But so does Charles Barkley, though, but in like the most endearing way possible.
You don't go, do you? You don't go to Inside the NBA for their analysis, do you?
No. I want to hear Charles Barkley. It wasn't even on Inside the NBA, but we were watching the clip before the show of Charles Barkley on CBS, March Madness coverage, talking about taking a shower in his uniform in the old days where Kenny Smith and Clark Kellogg are like, what?
What are you talking about?
Nobody else did that.
I just, I think Bill Simmons has a better understanding of the inner workings of ESPN than anybody else right now. And since he's started his own very, very successful media venture with The Ringer, I don't think that's unfair criticism and how ESPN avoids that. Like, that's probably the worst thing that they could do, right, is butcher Inside the NBA because people will kill him for it. All right. That was our NBA Finals preview.
Thunder Pacers, somebody's winning their first ever title, which is awesome.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
So it's going to be a fun series.
And I am under no impression that Indiana has they have a fighting chance. They're the two best teams in basketball as far as I can tell, after the Cavs got as hurt as they did. But if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing at the level that he did, basically throughout the course of the postseason, except for that one game against the Wolves, then it would be tough to not imagine a scenario in which OKC doesn't win in, 6, maybe 7, if you get good minutes from Nembhard and Nesmith and all these other, Miles Turner, all these other players that you have that gave you good performances, but you still need Halliburton to be a star. And how that OKC defense handles Tyrese Halliburton after they didn't quite negate Jokic, but they did as good a job on Jokic as any basketball team I've seen basically since Jokic has been an MVP candidate, a perpetual MVP candidate. And they did the exact same thing. I mean, what Anthony Edwards did in that conference finals was not impressive unto himself, but OKC is formidable, and it'll be a tough challenge. But I mean, I would probably say Thunder in 6 if you made me pick. Anyway. Get your phone calls, and we'll talk about the NFL front office tiers. Where do the Titans stack up in this new world that they have put together? We'll talk about it coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045. Cruising along on a Monday morning. We're happy to have you. We'll get to our NFL front office tiers. We're going to stack these organizations, all 32, into tiers, and we'll see where we come up with the Titans. I'm sure Lucas, Robert, and I all have differing opinions, but we're going to take some phone calls first. How about Andrew in Nashville to start it off? What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how y'all doing? Hope y'all had a good week so far.
Well, it's Monday, so yeah.
So good start to y'all's week, I guess. But I just wanted to start off by saying really appreciate what y'all are saying about, depression and all that. I think AJ had a really good press conference when he was with the Titans and kind of shed light on that. So that was really good for y'all to talk about that. But then also on a different note, I was just wondering what y'all would think about a Kyle Pitts trade. I mean, I wouldn't be for it. We drafted Gunnar Helm, and I think we need other positions. I'd like to sign Zadarius Smith to kind of help this roster, but I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts.
Appreciate the call, Andrew. And it's happy to do it. And AJ, to your point, he did have that because he's brought up suicidal thoughts before, and I remember AJ speaking out about it and Vrabel speaking out about it. I think within the same week. I think AJ did a TikTok on it.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and Vrabel definitely was asked questions about it as well.
For sure.
So Jordan Schultz reported that multiple teams have reached out to the Falcons about the availability of Kyle Pitts. He said nothing is imminent, and Atlanta would prefer to keep him, but he says it would take at least a day 2 pick to even spark serious talks. Kyle Pitts not present initially at Falcons voluntary OTAs.
He's also not worth a second-round pick. He's on an expiring deal. He's no longer cost-effective. He, outside of his rookie season, he's not a non-factor by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not the fire-breathing dragon. Wasn't he the number 4 overall pick?
He was a top 5 pick out of Florida, yeah. I mean, he was a Heisman candidate. It was that weird...
Oh, no, he was excellent at Florida, and then he was excellent his rookie season. And then once they, I don't know if this is an Arthur Smith thing or the fact that they had... a not great version of Marcus Mariota and then Desmond Ridder playing quarterback. I can't remember. Did Ridder start that season and Marcus came in or?
No, Ridder basically got a season for himself where Heineke was the backup.
Heineke, that's right.
Marcus went into was it the 23 season? Or no, was it Art's first year that Marcus was?
I think it was Art's first year because apparently they had a bit of a falling out if you listen to Marcus's Bussin' episode.
Yeah, that was
which
interesting.
Is surprising given the two of them.
That was interesting. So Kyle Pitts, Raheem Morris spoke an hour ago and said that they're being extremely cautious with him during OTA. So he is present now. He was not last week, but he won't be out on the field today. So seems like he's dealing with something too, injury-wise.
If I was an NFL organization, I would not trade certainly a second-round pick for Kyle Pitts.
No.
And not this one.
That season he had at Florida was so insane. That was it was the COVID year. Do you remember who their quarterback was in the COVID year?
Ooh.
He went crazy. He's a backup in the NFL now.
Was it the guy that was at West Virginia before?
It was not Will Grier. Will Grier started at Florida and ended up at West Virginia.
I've got to mix up the who's the quarterback?
Kyle Trask.
Oh, I thought, you know what, that adds up because his rookie season he was like a second round or third round pick by the Bucs.
Yep.
And he was dreadful.
He had a huge year statistically in that COVID season. Kyle Pitts had 770 yards and 12 touchdowns in 8 games. And I think that was the end of the year where the Florida player threw the shoe, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was that season.
Kyle Pitts last year, 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's got 10 career touchdown catches and 196 career receptions in 61 games. Not worth a second-round pick. All right. So we've got 4 tiers that we are going to put NFL organizations into. And I don't know how. So did you make like a list? Do you have it written out in front of you? How are you doing this from your side of things? Because I have them separated on a piece of paper by tiers.
Yes. 4 tiers.
Okay.
Do you have names for the tiers?
How about you be in charge of naming the tiers, 1 being the top tier, obviously, and 4 being the worst possible tier?
That's what I was going to name them, dude. You did 50% of my work right there.
What, top tier is going to be your...
Should we go Hattie B's heat levels?
Oh,
yes, let's do that. In fact, shouldn't we make that a segment? Somebody call the Hattie B's people. We should make that a segment.
Yes.
Is Shut the Cluck Up.
Oh wait, doesn't the morning show do something like that?
No, they do a Monday roast.
Okay.
Is Shut the Cluck Up the best tier or the worst tier?
worst tier.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to invert the order.
So mild is.
Yeah, it doesn't really work with that exercise because, like,
I don't want mild.
No, nobody wants
mild, just like
I don't even want mild.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think shut the clock up should be the best. Like, shut the clock up. This front office is so damn good at their job.
Okay, well, that's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
It's just, and they have their misses, right? Andre Dillard was a first-round pick of the Eagles organization under Howie Roseman. Who's that TCU wide receiver? I'm blanking on Rager, Jalen Rager.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First round pick.
Taking over Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that's tough.
Damn.
So everybody has their misses, right? The Eagles, can you imagine the Eagles with Justin Jefferson on top of all the other embarrassment of riches that they have? But, like, to me, they
would have
don't
never had to trade for AJ.
like, and even their off-season draft strategy, but they got the AJ trade done. Now that's John Robinson making a terrible, terrible mistake at the expense of the Titan, basically lighting the Titans' future on fire. By the way, what is he doing on Good Morning Football?
Yeah, he is pulling out his analyst cap.
If you had to pick one NFL general manager to be a television personality, I thoroughly enjoy John. I like him as a person. I could not have pictured him doing TV in his next life.
Just throw up NFL Network. You got J-Rob talking about the Giants' defense.
Well, you know Shane Bowen, so he's got some insights there. But anyway, the Eagles, I almost want to put in tier 1 alone. I don't know that they're, at least in the last 10 years, let's just take it in the last 10 years, all right? So 2015 to 2025. I don't know that there is a more effective and efficient front office structure than what Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles have done. They find ways to make up for their own errors because they make errors, absolutely. But I don't know. I mean, who even belongs in the same conversation in front office tiers with Philadelphia?
Baltimore. I think Baltimore and Kansas City belong in that tier.
I would put Kansas City tier 2. I don't think what they have done around Mahomes. Now, they're making up for it. I like their offseason so far, but I think that their wide receiver core, maybe they were okay to trade Tyreek Hill and they survived it, right? Because they've got the quarterback overwhelming. But I don't think, like, Philly has done more to set up Jalen Hurts, who needs more help than Patrick Mahomes does. But I don't know that Patrick Mahomes has been overwhelmingly helped. They look more mortal than they've ever been. I think they're as gettable as they've ever been. And not just because the Eagles kicked their ass head to head.
I mean, I guess how much weight does the evaluation and execution of going up to get Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, how much weight does that hold for the credit that a front office gets? I know the GM no longer there that technically made that pick, but as we know from learning more about Mike Borgonzi, the bones of that front office, there are a lot of those people still there, including until very recently Borgonzi.
I'm willing to, I will go Ravens with you. Robert, how do you feel about the Ravens front office structure going from Ozzie Newsome to Eric DeCosta?
They haven't missed a beat, right? They've had 2 general managers, and both of them have worked for the organization since 99 when Eric DeCosta joined as like a personnel intern. But they do a really good job of maintaining the whole draft and develop. They draft really good guys.
And then they let them go, and they just clean up on the compensatory picks.
Yeah, I look at their defense. I think one way you can really tell with an offensive line or a defense as a whole is if an organization, if you look at it and there's not a lot of free agents, they were able to fill the spots with a lot of their own guys. I think there's 2 guys starting on the Ravens defense that they didn't draft. There are no guys starting on the Ravens offensive line that they did not draft. So those, in my opinion, are really good drafters. You look at the Lions, you look at Green Bay, most of their team is going to be filled out by their own draft picks. And I would offer up, so where does this start? Is this right now? Is this
last 10 years?
Okay, so then the Lions would not be included in this because their draft success happened.
Brad Holmes has done an excellent job there. And by the way, that's going to be tested because Frank Ragnow just retired. They're starting center. You've got brain drain for the first time in the Dan Campbell era with both coordinators leaving. I don't know what that means for Jared Goff's future, but their offensive line is more suspect than it's been in the last 3 years, certainly. And their quarterback situation, I think, is, a bit subject to the circumstance that he's surrounded by.
A team that I would like to throw into the shut the cluck up tier that I don't think we would talk about would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh.
They have done an exceptional job drafting and developing.
We talked about it on Friday. Lucas, do you remember what you said about the last time the Bucs didn't win that division?
It was Tom Brady.
Yes. Tom Brady was a wild card that year.
Wait. That's right. 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 That's right
Yeah, Tom Brady had to go on the road.
Yeah, that's right. But not in the Super Bowl winning year.
Yeah, wasn't it the COVID year? Didn't he have to go on the road? They played at home because the Super Bowl was in Tampa that year.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. Did they start that Super Bowl run against Taylor Heineke's Washington football team?
There you go.
He had to
Ross
beat
is back here screaming
on the road.
Yes.
Then he beat Breeze, and then he beat Rodgers because the whole joke was now he has as many NFC Championship victories as Aaron Rodgers did, and he was only in the conference for a year at that time.
And to the point, look at the Bucs defense. There are 2 players on the Bucs defense that they didn't draft, and one of the reasons is because one of those players is an undrafted free agent that they signed. The other is Hassan Reddick, who has yet to show up to OTAs.
I will.
Yeah, interesting.
I will accept the Bucs.
The Baker stuff. I mean,
the way that they just churn wide receivers. I mean,
and again, 2 players on offense that is listed as a starter that they did not draft: Ben Bredesen at left guard and Baker Mayfield at quarterback.
Okay.
Because a handful of people are bringing up in the chat the 49ers. You cannot make that Trey Lance deal as a front office. And I know that was Shanahan, but you cannot be involved.
Well, Shanahan is part of that front office.
Sure. So I would put them in a tier below. They are excellent at drafting, at developing, at the retention of talent. But that is an egregious error. That is far worse than I think anything that Jason Light, Howie Roseman, or Eric DeCosta has done at any point in the management of their Super Bowl window. Now, they ended up getting bailed out because they got Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant and he's turned into a $53 million a year quarterback.
Imagine an alternate universe where they don't take Brock Purdy. Like, what happens to Kyle Shanahan's 49ers if they just say, nah, we're going to take a flyer on a running back in the 7th round?
He gets his man crush. He gets Kirk Cousins, and they go to the Super Bowl probably.
The only other team I think that we need to at least discuss as being part of that top shut the cluck up category would be the Rams. What they've done, going from
I'm going to give them tier
picks
2
to circling back around to having to rebuild off of bleep them picks and still maintain that competitiveness on being literally a play away from going to the NFC Championship, hosting, and probably, in all likelihood, they would have been favored, I think, against the Commanders.
They had a season in between there where they bottomed out at like 5 wins, wasn't it? But that's they were never the worst team in the league. They were still well coached. They still had players. But they did ebb and flow en route to getting back to the Super Bowl and this time getting the job done. So I would not put them in tier 1 because I think it's like when you talk about elite quarterback play. Like in any given year, there's maybe 1, maybe 2 truly elite quarterbacks. I think people overuse that term entirely too much. So I'm going to leave tier 1 for the elite, and I'm going to make that Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore.
So if that's the best of the best, if we're talking about the Titans and this conversation is about the last 10 years, we're talking about multiple front offices, right?
Yeah, well.
And so the
which speaks to stability. Stability should factor in here.
So if the point is to judge this current front office, then wouldn't almost a better way of judging this current front office be going around to the front offices that a lot of people came from that are composing the Titans front office now?
So that's Kansas City,
Green Bay,
and
Vegas/Oakland.
Vegas and Miami, right?
And Miami.
Well, both of them.
Yeah,
But McKenzie's been in Miami for a while now.
Was he in Miami? Did he go straight there after the Raiders?
6 or 7 years.
Okay.
He's been there for a while. So that's like the 4 heads of state, right? That's Borgonzi and KC for 16 years. How long was Brinker in Green Bay? 13 years?
Long time.
McKenzie, almost a decade in Miami. And then now Ziegler's interesting because Ziegler was very well thought of in New England, got his own gig, and made it a season and a half as the Raiders GM before they canned him and did not do well. Like the Raiders have been a bit nightmarish.
New England has to just have set a record in the 21st century of coaches/executives that were well thought of and then didn't do well.
So I'm not going to give them credit for what they've done in other places because what they have to do is of their own volition there now, right? Think of the brain trust that people talk about in Kansas City, the amount of, and that structure is something that they're trying to incorporate here. And it seems, at least in the early goings, that they're setting themselves up for success. What success looks like for them in year 1 has yet to be determined. And so you try not to prematurely judge one way or the other how this is all going to come into effect. But let's just take it on face value. As an organization, the Tennessee Titans and their front office work. So in the last 10 years, 15, that's Webster, that's J-Rob, that's Rand, and now Borgonzi/Brinker. I would put them squarely in tier 4.
In the medium.
No, in the
or mild,
which is the
mild
worst.
Be the worst.
Which is the worst of our rankings here, because Rustin Webster did not cover himself in glory, even though Lawan was a good player for a period of time. Avery Williamson was a good player. Mariota, is still in the league, but he's not the second overall pick, and that's maybe not Rustin Webster's fault. But J-Rob, great highs, but you would find me a general manager that has as low of lows that John did.
Yeah, my instinct is to say, because of a run of 6 years with nothing but winning seasons and the competitiveness and some of the good things they did in the draft and building that, to put your chips in on your number 2 overall pick quarterback and it not work and you still find a way to have success there.
High, really good highs.
But I think I agree that the lows are so damning that they outweigh the highest of highs, which is just reaching an AFC championship game and being a 1 seed one time where you crashed out in the divisional round.
Sure. The Rams made it to a Super Bowl and lost. They got back to a Super Bowl and won. Philly made it to 2 Super Bowls and won. Well, they made it to 3, right? They won 2 and lost 1 to the Chiefs, and then won the most recent rematch from that. When was Mahomes in Philadelphia the first time? 2022? I can't remember. Either way, they are like J-Rob's best years. So it's really 19 is carrying a lot of weight there. And 16 matters too, because Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard are in that draft. But you're really banking on 16 and 19 to carry the weight for 4 different general managers. And maybe Cam Ward, is the bet. Like Cam Ward is the thing that turns the tide and makes all the difference in the world. But if you made me tier NFL organizations and took the last 10 years of the Titans, I'd put them in the worst tier. We'll see how they dig themselves out. We'll do that again with teams as far as the coaching and the actual player personnel at 12:20 today. We'll see if we can find, because the Titans did fare better on the field than they did in the drafting process and the free agent process in those past 10 years. I want to talk about the Cracker Barrel 400 coming up next, though. I went to my first NASCAR race over the weekend. It was a great time had by all, so we're going to do a little NASCAR recap. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. I mean, how this thing gets on the air in any way, shape, or form is beyond me. When you realize, and I hate the people that do, well, the show that we're doing during the commercial breaks is so much funnier than the show that we're doing on the air. No, it's worse, because I'm sitting there screaming at Ross. He's giving me all the NASCAR analysis that he has in real time. Shut up. We're not being paid to talk right now. Now you give me your NASCAR analysis. We'll get to that here in just a second. Congratulations to Ryan Blaney and the Penske team for pulling off a win at the Cracker Barrel 400 yesterday at the Nashville Superspeedway. Now, I wasn't out there on Friday and Saturday, but the folks at the Nashville Superspeedway, Alan George and his team, were very kind to reach out to us and offer us all-access passes. The two of you were occupied. That's not a fine. You guys, are you going to fine yourselves? You had access to these things. You didn't take them.
I didn't go.
I was so conflicted. I really wanted to go, but I couldn't swing it. But it looked like a good time.
Like NASCAR, what I'm saying, though, is like with the all-access passes, like they let you everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they. I haven't even done my jelly roll thing yet today. That's going to make you guys sick. You might as well find me a couple of times on the front end. Yeah. We'll save that for the end of the show. All right, that's enough. I had never been to a NASCAR race. What's the thing? Now, be honest with me. Would the two of you have thought about ear protection? Like if you're getting ready to go to a NASCAR race and you're thinking about all the things you need.
What? Buck! I can't. Sorry, they're coming in the turn. What'd you say, dude? I can't even hear you.
Okay, they're gone. You were saying?
Oh, no, we're not playing this game.
Well, there's not a game.
Hurry up before they come back around, damn it.
We have to wait.
Would you have thought to bring it in?
I can't hear you. I have earplugs in.
Yeah, why are you yelling?
There you
We're
go.
at a NASCAR.
Stop yelling.
I took them out.
Okay.
I honestly, I would not have brought them, but I would have, as soon as I got there, I would have been like, all right, where are the earplugs? Like, I would have assumed that there would have been.
So you didn't have any?
None. It was crazy.
That was a caution loud.
It was funny because I did primetime from my car.
Oh, yeah, this is what it sounded like. Do it.
Welcome to Davidson Sports Prime Time. Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you, Cam Ward's looking exceptional.
All right. What was that, a rocket ship? This is Ryan Blaney's car.
I just made a supercut of like 500, as much as I could fit in there.
So listen to me, all right? The only motorsports event I've ever been to in my life, and I've been several times, is
The Grand Prix. Music City Grand Prix.
Oh, no, I didn't even think about the Grand Prix.
Oh, that's just what I thought you were going to say.
No, the Indianapolis 500.
I thought you were going to say the event that we've all been to together multiple times.
I had completely blanked out the Music City Grand Prix. Since they moved it out to wherever the hell it is now, like, I don't even think about the Grand Prix anymore. When are they bringing that back downtown, by the way?
I don't know. Whenever that stadium's done, I guess.
God, that's such a pain in the ass. Anyway, no, the Indianapolis 500. Can you look up for me the capacity at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Like what the grandstands hold? Because it's a massive, massive racetrack.
300,000.
Is it actually 300,000?
No, that's just, I just made
but
that
it's
up.
it's in the 100,000s.
350.
Oh, wow. I like way overshot because I thought that's crazy. 350 is insane.
Is it really? No, he's messing with us.
No, Ross looked it up.
Indy 500 expects 350K fans in its first grandstand sellout since 16.
That's crazy. So 300, so it's a monster, right? I don't know what the capacity is of the Nashville Superspeedway, but like my experience, like I don't really go out and watch. Like we did the Super Trucks thing during the Music City Grand Prix, but like we had those all access passes. I hung out in that tent and just drank my way through the Music City Grand Prix the entire time. I didn't feel like I got the full effect of like what those things sound like. And I thought the NASCAR race was way louder, but like the Indianapolis 500, you don't even hear cars if you're in the infield. And I was I go to the concerts when we were in college in the infield. So like I never brought ear protection to that. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even see a car when we went to the Indianapolis 500. I was blown away, not just by like the noise, but it's a much shorter track, obviously. 400 laps went like a blink of an eye. And to see the way that then it was a sellout crowd in the grandstands, I know they were very, very proud of that. All the different effects that they brought in. I know Morgan Wallen was there on hand to put on a show as well. I didn't make my way to the winner's circle. I left before the race actually ended. But everything that I got to experience was very, very cool. I really think we should go back next year if your guys' schedule accommodates.
I'm down to go, but we can't bring Cheyenne. Something happens to that girl when we get out at those NASCAR races. I don't know what it is about redneck activities. Redneck activities make Cheyenne just revert back to her North Carolinian. And anytime we go racing, she gets in a fight with somebody. She ends up losing a beer, losing her earring, losing her sunglasses.
In the fight or just losing? Things are just falling off of her person.
She's about to have a heat stroke in a porta potty somewhere, texting me to bring her another margarita. Like, no, girl, I need you to get. She's kind of like Molly Shannon in Talladega Nights.
I was about to say.
The vibration from the cars.
I love the way the cars come around that track. I'm like, girl, you need to settle down. I need you to get off my shoulders, sit back in your seat. Nobody gets on somebody's shoulders at NASCAR events, especially not while the race is going on. The people behind us are mad as hell, and she don't listen.
I just imagine that's everybody from North Carolina, that they just become a different person when at a NASCAR race.
Well, like Mickey used to talk about this all the time, and I don't, I'm obviously not a motorsports fan or anything like that. I was very out of my element yesterday, but I had a great time. I had a way better time than I was expecting to have.
Did you get earplugs? Like, who informed you? Did somebody look at you like you dope, put something in your ears?
No, I walked in. I saw a couple of people that listened to the show, and the race hadn't started, but it was starting like within 5 minutes of me getting there, and I was just like, oh no. Now, I did not feel as bad. I was judging very, very much the one of the mothers, and it was this this all-inclusive area. They had what looked to be a newborn child without headphones on. I'm like, that kid is going to get some kind of like brain damage.
Either that or he's going to have super hearing. Like, he's going to be able to hear like somebody farting 2 doors over.
Yeah, it'd be like a radioactive spider giving you superpowers. It just has the opposite effect.
I can't believe they didn't have freebies around. Like, generally there are like so many sponsorable.
I'm sure if I had gone to like
where the pores are. I would have had freebies.
I got the park in the owner's lot yesterday.
The owner's lot.
I wasn't going where the pores
How
are.
do
Are you
we
kidding
bring
me?
him down? He can't keep getting away with that.
Oh, like I said, Friday night, you guys would have been disgusted by me on Friday night. Oh.
Yeah, when I saw the picture of you and East Carolina's most notable alumni after me, Vince McMahon, I was kind of upset.
He went to ECU?
He and his wife both went to East Carolina.
Linda?
Yes.
Or the current wife?
Linda. She's
our current Secretary of Education?
She's a rock now. She ain't leaving Vince, especially not that stash.
No, they're not together, are they?
They are together.
I did see you like shuffling around, desperately trying to get into the background of the corner of a picture that Vince McMahon happened to be in, but I don't know what else might have happened there.
The only person with a worse mustache than Buck was Vince McMahon.
It's really bad. It's really bad, respectfully. Jelly had me walk out of the tunnel with him at the Music City Rodeo, like the Morgan Wallen thing does, and I'm like, these people don't know who I am. Why are we doing this? This is very uncomfortable. Like, even I was uncomfortable by the level of intention that was on, like, him. He, by the way, have you ever gone to one of his concerts?
No. I have yet to go to a Jelly show.
I've seen him 3 times live. This was different, obviously, because he had me in like a section between the pit and the security. So like I'm right at the front of the stage, and it's just me and like Sweat and Jeff were on the other side of like the stage. So they had those 2 down there on one end, and I was at the other end. And so that's obviously a different kind of concert experience. But like, he's a legitimate rock star now. And I don't know that he wasn't the biggest act that played on a weekend that had Reba and Tim McGraw. And it's a hometown show and all these different things, but I could not get over like the circus around that man. I've never seen a concert from that angle where you go down below deck, where you're seeing all the different things that are going on, all the different people that are coming up to him in real time, who I'm sure paid godly amounts of money just to take a picture with the guy and stuff like that. But like, I mean, it was not so long ago, we were taking shots of hot Casamigos in the dugout of First Horizon Park for that Sounds pseudo-celebrity softball game that they play every year, and now he's like one of the most famous people on the planet. I'm blown away by him.
I saw where he brought out Eminem at his Detroit show for Lose Yourself.
And like, I don't think Eminem
That was like
does,
a week ago.
I don't think Eminem
That's the
does
most
that.
impressive part about it. It's
Yeah.
like Eminem, like, is not going to get out of bed for just anybody. Like, he's in Detroit. He doesn't need to come out to Detroit to show those people that he's still, hey, look, 8 Mile. Remember that? Like, Eminem doesn't have to do things like that.
So I really appreciate him and his team inviting. By the way, the two of you were invited to that too, and you didn't go.
I had a wedding. I'm upset about it, dude. I wanted to go. Do you not think I like redneck activities?
I was so comfy on my couch.
In a strange turn of events, you and I are technically both correct. While Linda and Vince are divorced, or they are legally separated, they are not legally divorced and remain married. And I wonder if that has something to do with the money.
Like, because they had like secret security or Secret Service out there. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Because like all of a sudden they started drawing these like black curtains all around everywhere that we were. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Is he about to like be lifted up onto the stage or something like that? Like he's just going to be transported?
Nope, it's a ritual. Time to drink some lamb's
So
blood.
then all of a sudden, like I see people like speaking in hushed tones around me and like shooing all the cameras out of the area. And I'm definitely in a spot that I'm not supposed to be in a prayer circle with Jelly Roll and Vince McMahon. Very disorienting.
That does sound like an unforgettable night. I was watching 3 straight Mission Impossible movies. 3 in a row.
That sounds like an imminently forgettable night.
I'm going to watch all of them.
How many are there?
I think they're up to 8.
Oh, my God. There's 8 Mission
I
Impossibles?
think the 8th is the one that's in theaters now.
Are you watching them in order?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Forgot how good the first Mission Impossible is. Like it turned into Tom Cruise doing crazy bleep, which is awesome. But the first Mission Impossible, the plot might be the best of all of them.
We got to go.
It will.
That was supposed to be in Lucas's ear.
What's he going to do?
Stop talking. Beep boop, beep boop. Hit some buttons, button boy.
Or hitting fake buttons.
It will shock neither of you or any of the 3 of you to know that I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
12:04, good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Vanderbilt baseball's late comeback fell short. The Commodores were eliminated from the postseason Sunday with a 5-4 loss to Wright State in the Nashville Regional. Vandy, the first number 1 seed in college baseball history to not make the regional final. Tennessee will finish out the Knoxville Regional tonight against Wake Forest. Winner heads to Supers. First pitch at 5 p.m. And Tennessee softball currently in the national semifinal against Texas in the Women's College World Series. Scoreless, headed to the top of the 4th. The Lady Vols will have to win this game and then beat Texas again later today to advance to the National Championship Series in Oklahoma City. The Titans made a signing in running back Ty Davis Price, according to Ian Rappaport, the former Niners and Eagles back, signing a 2-year deal. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour on this Monday. Show moving fast. That's because there's a lot to talk about. A crazy sports weekend between NASCAR, rodeo, baseball, softball, NBA Finals officially set, and we got it all for you. Let's get back to the baseball, if we could. That's the biggest local story, I think, by a mile, given Vandy's epic collapse against not just Louisville, but then Wright State, ending their season as the first national number 1 seed to not reach the regional final. By the way, Texas with some egg on their face as well. Vandy not the only ones, but Vandy's seems like it hits a lot harder given the spectacular way that they ended their regular season with an SEC tournament title, shelling Tennessee the way that they did, run-ruling Tennessee the way that they did, getting chesty with it afterwards. We had Aria Gerson of the Tennessean, who covers Vandy athletics, exclusively on the show in the first hour, and she was describing kind of the dynamic of what the Vandy boys felt like after beating Tennessee, how much looser they felt, how much jawing they were doing, which is not what you associate Tim Corbin and Vandy baseball to be. Tim Corbin having moments at the press conference after the Louisville game that were not flattering, and then, understandably getting emotional about the way that his team collapsed to end their season when anything, what did you say on Friday? Anything short of Omaha is a failure.
Yeah.
And this was well short of Omaha, bud.
Historically short. Again, first number 1 seed to fail to make a regional final a year after Tennessee breaks the number 1 seed curse to win a title for the first time since the late 90s that a number 1 seed does that. So it's hard to, this kind of scenario was hard to fathom just with the way they were playing, how much juice they had up and down their lineup. Their offense just came alive in the back half of the season. Nobody anticipated Vanderbilt falling as flat as they did. And Tennessee still has to survive against Wake Forest. But, it's what a weird season of college baseball in this state when it felt like a week ago Vanderbilt has wrangled back that discussion.
House money.
As the premier team in the state of Tennessee. And now here are the Vols, a win away from headed to Fayetteville 24 hours after Vanderbilt's season ends prematurely.
Well, and then Tennessee losing on a walk-off in the 9th inning against Wake Forest, now trying to redeem themselves. The first pitch is at 5 p.m. or is 3HL not preempted, are they?
No. We won't carry the game live. It was initially scheduled for 7 Central. It was moved up to 5 p.m., so that's when the Wake Forest game will start.
Okay, so 5 p.m. today is first pitch between Tennessee, who's trying to handle their own business in their Knoxville Regional. So not a lot of jawing, it seems, from Tennessee fans. I mean, actually, that's not true. There was a lot of, throwing dirt on the grave of Vanderbilt fans that had a moment in the sun and decided to sideswipe Tennessee fans, the defending national champions, and then, obviously not setting themselves up for success. Aria Gerson asking Tim Corbin questions about the offense. In fact, can we hear that exchange from Saturday again after the Louisville loss with Tim Corbin getting a little, irritated at the press conference, let's say. All right, don't sports explain. Like, bleep off Tim Corbin, frankly. the more, and not just because she's a media member and I've been in press conferences like that, but like, handle yourself like somebody who has won multiple national championships. That was a very bad look on Tim Corbin, and then to lose to Wright State the next day, an even worse look.
Yeah. Yet not the worst look for a baseball coach in college baseball this past weekend. Robert, will you walk us through what happened with Florida and Coastal Carolina over the weekend, who your ECU Pirates eliminated over the weekend as well?
I've never seen so much Coastal Carolina content in our group text with no context whatsoever other than you are following this story. You're a dog with a bone on this one.
Okay, so to set this up, Coastal Carolina is hosting the regional with East Carolina, Florida, and some other school, some haberdasher school that no one's ever heard of. East Carolina beat Florida in the first game.
Those haberdasher schools, by the way, are always great at college baseball.
Haberdashers keep it moving. I'm telling you. You can say that in exactly in Wright State. East Carolina beat Florida in the first attempt. They went and played Coastal in the first game, and they lost to Coastal. So then they went to the losers bracket, had to beat Florida, had to beat Coastal to play Coastal again. Before the Pirates were able to play Florida the second time, the time of the game was moved from noon to 1 p.m. Florida coach Kevin O'Sullivan was very upset about this. I would also like to start a motion to change his name to Kevin Owen Sullivan after losing to the Pirates twice this weekend.
You need to workshop that a little more.
28-6, buddy. I think I can call him whatever the hell I want to. So he pitched a huge fit. There's audio out there about him talking to the groundskeepers, the site managers for this. Like, what the hell you think you're doing? Like, we have to change our bus schedule. We got bus drivers, all this, raising all kind of hell. And as he was leaving, he told East Carolina, they had a whiteboard up, a QAB quality at bat whiteboard. And on the whiteboard it said, house money, because they weren't supposed to make the tournament. Kevin O'Sullivan told them that they could shove that whiteboard up their ass on the way back to his dugout. Well, he had to go play East Carolina, and he got dog-walked in that game. But Coastal Carolina coach had something to say about his comments after they won the regional.
One last thing I have is I have to say this, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I believe in standing up for what's right, and what transpired this morning on our field. Another coach disrespected our associate AD, who works as hard as anybody in our entire program. He disrespected our field crew, who are the salt of the earth. These guys would do anything for our program. It's not okay. And this needs to be brought up. Absolutely disrespectful. As a coach, it's our job to mentor young kids. And the way he treated the two site reps, the way he treated our associate AD, the way he treated our field crew is absolutely unacceptable. And that's what I'm most disappointed about. This is a national champion coach who thinks he can come in here and try to bully people around. Disappointed. Disappointed, somebody that a lot of coaches look up to. For him to act that way, really disappointed. He disrespected a Hall of Fame coach who's the site rep here. That's all I got to say.
All right, so what you sent the audio, like they got some of what Kevin O'Sullivan said?
That is correct, but he curses so much in it, and it's from someone's camera phone that's off in the distance.
So they're trying not to get caught, like filming the exchange or whatever.
The audio isn't incredible.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like 7th grade Spanish class. Like you're just looking for context clues. You hear him talk about the schedule change and how the bus changed and how you don't do this to somebody else, even though his game got moved back a couple hours. Their first game they played in the regional got pushed back, so he got extra time in that game. So.
Man, a lot of baseball coaches getting worked up this weekend. Speaking of, Tennessee's softball hitting coach just got ejected from this College World Series game.
You need to leave.
Yeah, that was the ump just now to Tennessee hitting coach Craig Snyder.
I think that was Joseph.
In the it is still scoreless as Tennessee and Texas head to the bottom of the 4th, by the way.
You need to leave. You need to leave.
It's okay, little guy. Settle down back there. Settle down. You survived UCLA. You don't have to be so upset.
Why you got to be like that?
He's literally never been anything but not kind to you. I just don't understand.
He called him. What did he call him the other day?
That's the case with most people.
Buck is like the 8th grade bully that's been held back for 3 years, picking on like the 4th grader.
Wait, I want Ross to say it. What did he call him, Ross?
Said, you sniveling coward.
Yeah, just so unnecessary.
I didn't
You called him
say
spineless.
I said if you had to pick somebody that looked like a sniveling coward and spineless, it would be Joseph.
Oh, that's not nice.
Pick on someone your own size.
I can't help that he's
Who's
like
the coward?
5'2". It's not. I mean, I can't help that I'm literally a foot taller than this human being.
You need to leave.
It's okay, buddy.
Liam
Put him in
Doyle.
timeout.
Liam Doyle sounds like he might start tonight for Tennessee, who threw 104 pitches on Friday night. Tennessee's ace, SEC pitcher of the year. Can't imagine he'd be out there for more than 2 or 3 innings if he does, but sounds like that might be the plan tonight against Wake Forest.
Jameson on YouTube says baseball might be the most douchey sport in existence. Do we know that to be so? Like per capita? Like the amount of D-bags per capita or per roster?
It's tough for me not to agree with that.
Baseball
the
or
glasses-
lacrosse?
Well, no, lacrosse.
I don't know not one D-bag lacrosse player.
Lax Bros are cool.
They throw great parties. I didn't ever have not one problem with a lacrosse player. Now, baseball players, it's something about girls liking the uniform they wear where they think their butt looks good in those things that I think
Oh my
raises
God, can
them
you
up.
imagine if we put Lucas in baseball pants?
Oh my gosh.
The world's not ready for
God,
that.
we have missed an opportunity.
That's why God made me a soccer player. He's like, we can't.
Oh, did he? Have you got a grade 3 sprain playing the made you a soccer player, did he?
Yeah, that's why he made me.
That's a very
unathletic.
generous. That's a very generous estimation.
We can't make this guy an athlete.
I think soccer may be up there.
I think
Soccer
they're
may
just
be up there.
weenies. Like they just like, oh my toe hurts. I have a hangnail.
I don't know. Once especially like the highest level, like European soccer players, like those people live in a different stratosphere of famous.
And see, per capita, that would be pretty low though. Like I think baseball per capita, like every team, how many?
They all look like Morgan Wallen and wear those dumb sunglasses,
right?
That look like bug eyes.
Look like they walk up. Their walk up music would be that terrible.
What is it with the
country
mullet?
song.
Am I missing something?
Something to hang on to. Ross getting upset back here. Calm down, buddy. It's okay.
Oh, I forgot he has a mullet. I don't know how. It makes his head 3 times as big as it already is. It's a giant. It's as long a head as I've ever seen in my life.
What'd you call him the other day? Looks like he's wearing a horse head.
Bojack Horseman? Bojack Rossman?
You're so mean.
These are observations. You saddled him, no pun intended, saddled him with the 615 Sessions podcast on Friday. He tried to put his big ass head in the screen and it wouldn't fit.
We need somebody who can be mean to Buck.
Punch it below your weight here, bud.
Good luck. All right, we'll get back to our team tiers. We'll take a look at how NFL teams have fared over the course of the last 10 seasons and where the Titans belong. Tier 1 being the best, Tier 4 being the worst. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is summertime. The sun is shining in Music City, which means you need to head to Fog Street Lawn Club, Nashville's premier soccer pub, so your go-to spot to watch Nashville SC games and U.S. soccer games all summer long, and Premier League games during the Premier League season. But no matter the sport, NBA, Stanley Cup playoffs, Fog Street Lawn Club makes sure you won't miss a moment. Tons of space, TVs everywhere with the bar downstairs, or go up to the rooftop. The best rooftop view of downtown Nashville that you will find. You can play British-style lawn bowling for free on the rooftop with any purchase from their excellent menu of British pub-style food. Head next door, challenge your friends to some axe throwing. At Bad Axe, there's always something to do, and Fog Street Lawn Club gives you the experience of downtown Nashville with the great escape from the craziness and hustle and bustle of Broadway. By the way, concert series coming up this summer. Check out their lineup at fogstreet.com, and I'll see you at Fog Street Lawn Club.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Best hot chicken in the world. The lunch hour is officially upon us for most people. If you haven't gotten your lunch yet, you know where to go. 615-737-1045 is the number. So we did front office tiers, T-I-E-R-S, not tears like Vandy fans are likely sobbing as of yesterday with their season over, but tiers, a way to, what was Jim Irsay's whole thing? Quartiles? Should we do quartiles in honor of Jim Irsay instead of tiers? You remember that? The upper quartile of the upper quartile? Oh, easy, Corbin. Settle down. You don't remember that quote?
No, I don't remember that.
It was just last year, I feel like.
Jim Harbaugh?
No, Jim Irsay.
Oh, Jim Irsay. Oh.
Talking about.
We should do it in honor of Jim Harbaugh.
What are you killing off Jim Harbaugh for? Last I saw him, he's alive and well.
He is, thankfully. R.I.P. Jim Irsay.
Some of the thickest eyeglass lenses I've ever seen in my life. The man looks like he's staring through Coke bottles at you. It's jarring. Anyway, so we did front office tiers of the last 10 years of NFL organizations. My tier 1, which is the elite of the elite in terms of NFL front office organization and consistency, consisted of only 3 teams. And honestly, I would have left it at 2 had Robert not brought up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I do think they deserve a seat at that table. It's the Eagles, and not in any particular order, but it's the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Bucs.
I'm sorry, but the Rams deserve a seat at that table more than the Bucs. Like the Bucs, that's a good shout. But what the Rams have done with the value draft picks,
they have the same number of Super Bowl wins. The Bucs organization has more.
I'm sorry, the Bucs organization has more after bringing in Tom Brady for a year. The way the Rams have gone about this, going down the bleep them picks road and then coming back around,
same thing that the Bucs did. They did it after the Bucs. They went and got their Tom Brady. It was Matt Stafford. What are you talking about?
More hits on late round picks, far more than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Because they don't have first round picks.
They've been, which makes it even more impressive that they. Let's see. What is this?
Okay, so that's it. That's an interesting subject because I don't want to spin our wheels on this again. But like, what is harder to do? Is it harder to draft or is it harder to pay guys?
I think it's harder to draft. Yeah, it's definitely harder.
What the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing is more difficult than what the Rams are doing.
The Rams, to me, have drafted better than the Bucs in recent years.
There's no way that's possible.
No way that's possible?
No way that's possible. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, over the last 10 years of football, have brought in more top-tier talent than the Los Angeles Rams via the harder method of bringing in that talent, which is acquiring that via draft. Now, yes, signing Tom Brady can make a big difference, but they're still winning the division with Baker Mayfield. And I know it's not,
terrible division.
It's not the NFC. Yeah, well, we speak from experience in the worst division in football, the AFC South. But I don't know. They were still. When was Drew Brees' last season?
I think it was that 2020 year.
Was 20? That would make sense. COVID. Anyway, I think, though, drafting, developing, retaining, those are the things that the Titans organization is aspiring to. That is more difficult to do. The Bucs have done it better.
Speaking of the Titans, there's this PFF grading system, wins above replacement, as barometers for evaluating teams that don't draft well, in this case. The least PFF wins above replacement accrued by first-round picks since 2020, Raiders, who struggled mightily in the first round.
They've got first-round picks getting in car wrecks and then robbing strippers and all manner of other.
Titans are number 2 with Wilson, Farley, Burks, Skoronski, Latham.
You mean bottom 2?
Yes, bottom 2, essentially. Rams are 3, but in a way, it makes what the Rams have done even more impressive because there is one player on here. It's Jared Verse. He's their only first-round pick in I don't know how many years.
Since 2020, right?
It's crazy. Yeah. So that they've been able to draft replacement players to come in because that's all they have had the ability to do, giving up as many picks as they've given up, and still maintain success after winning the Super Bowl, that to me is more impressive than anything the Bucs have done. We don't have to get bogged down.
Now that he's done talking and
now that I've done my thing. Let's move on before you do your next thing. But before we move on, let me remind you that 104.5 The Zone is bringing back the Split Happens Bowling Bash with special guests and listeners. Thursday, June 26th.
Who are the guests?
It's at King's Dining and Entertainment in Cool Springs. You got to be there to find out. But to be there, you don't have to pay, but you do have to RSVP at 1045thezone.com. There will be food, drinks, prizes, and more. benefiting Home Street Home.
Okay. I need to talk to somebody about how they're raising money for Home Street Home if they're not charging admission. That seems to be a fatal flaw in the exercise, but perhaps there's something that I don't know, which is always possible. So now let's flesh this tiers exercise out to teams on the field, which also involves coaching. And you probably know this, but you saw the same graphic that I did from BetMGM about the most regular season wins in the NFL since the turn of the century.
Yes.
Since 2000. The Patriots are obviously number one, if you're going back to 2000. It would probably surprise most people to find out that the Titans are in the top half of the league in that respect. Where the best organizations in football, the teams that you most associate with winning, and the Colts, because for some reason, not for some reason, the Colts had Peyton Manning during a good chunk of the 2000s and had a Super Bowl win. The best or the most winning organizations since 2000, Patriots, Steelers, Packers, Ravens, Eagles, Colts, Chiefs. The only one that would probably, make people say, really, is the Colts. But again, 2000, Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
So the height of the Colts experience at any point.
Again, 2000 was 25 years ago. It's a lot of football we're talking about.
We're the fourth winningest franchise in the league since 2000. All right, that means in the upper quartile of winners, we're in the top quartile of that upper quartile.
All the quartiles.
Rest in peace.
And he was wrong, by the way. They are not in the upper quartile. They are
maybe at that point they were.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that the Eagles only have 4 more wins since 2000 than the Colts do, which is kind of crazy to think about. But the Eagles just recently started winning Super Bowls. It was crazy to me that the Nick Foles Super Bowl was their first Super Bowl win. But it's the Patriots with 270 wins, and that's the most. The Titans have not cracked 200 wins since 2000 in the last 25 years, but they are 199, and that would put them squarely in, let's see, are they 15th? If the math is mathing? You know we can never trust our math around here. But if that is the top 7, so they're 14th. They're 14th in regular season wins since 2000.
Yeah, right behind the Chargers, right ahead of the Bills.
The Bills were terrible for a long, long time. Bills have only recently returned to relevance. The Cowboys are way more successful than I realized with 217 behind the Broncos and between the Vikings. And then the Saints and the Seahawks are up there as well. So it's the second tier, if we were to do this in tiers, because it has been done into 5 tiers here. It's the Seahawks, Saints, Broncos, Cowboys, Vikings, Chargers, and then the Titans. And I think most Titans fans probably would not register with that. Like, they know that they've had good seasons, and there's been, trips to the AFC Championship game, and obviously the Super Bowl run would be outside of this window that we're talking about, so right when the Titans got to Tennessee.
Yeah, but multiple trips to the AFC Championship game
multiple
in
trips
this window.
To the AFC Championship, multiple 12-win seasons in there, so no small feat. And maybe I'm taking recency bias from Titans fans who are, just down tremendous because the last couple of years and have experienced, like, long droughts, right? Of these teams that we're talking about here, I don't know that there are teams that have gone longer without success, like year over year. When Malarkey won the first playoff game, that was like 12 years removed from the last playoff win?
Yeah,
something like that had been a long time, right? So if you took Pats, Steelers, Packers, Ravens, Eagles, Colts, Chiefs, Seahawks, Saints, Broncos, Cowboys, Vikings, Chargers, and then the Titans have probably had, at least sight unseen, probably have had longer droughts between those successful seasons than those other organizations that we just mentioned ahead of them. I think they were a tier 2 organization for a long time, right? They don't win championships, but they've been on the precipice several times. They've been closer than a lot of these name brands. Hell, they've been closer than the Bucs, who I think organically draft, even though the Bucs have championships to their name. And is it multiple since 2000 or just the one? When was
multiple Super Bowls?
When was the
yeah Gruden?
When was Gruden?
Yeah, that was in 2000s.
Okay,
they have 2 Super Bowls since then.
So 2 Super Bowls since then, but not the amount of regular season wins in a division that is suspect. And the Browns are the worst. The bottom tier is Raiders, Lions, Jacksonville, and Cleveland. Texans are pretty far down there too.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised. I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised that the Jets are above Houston because the Jets had those couple of years.
They went
Rex
to the AFC
Ryan
Championship.
Yeah, a couple times. But
are the Titans the modern day Jets? Like in terms of just kind of scratching the surface, and you think they might, but like they're getting there with Mark Sanchez, right? They're getting there with Ryan Tannehill. So is the most recent successful version of the Titans like similar to those Jets runs?
I guess so. I mean, Sanchez was a rookie, right? I mean, they drafted Mark Sanchez and immediately had that success right out of USC.
And he went again, right? I think he beat Peyton Manning to go to the AFC Championship the second time they went.
Yeah, they went back-to-back years with Mark Sanchez.
And the Texans are losing 2 seasons worth of games because they didn't start till 2002.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So, but even still, I mean, that would not be enough enough to get them out of the 4th tier there. If there's 5 tiers in this graphic that we're looking at, with the bottom tier consisting of those 4 that I mentioned. But I mean, if you said that the Titans are a regular season, a 2nd tier organization, that's giving them a lot more credit than I feel like even Titans fans give their organization on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's been this kind of feeling, which I think you have been guilty of too, by the way, of like acting like the Titans are right there with the Jets and the Browns.
Recently,
and just sure, but just in the grand scheme of things, like there are fan bases
recently with the way that organization has been run. I have no problem comparing to those
in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I stand on that firmly.
But and look, 2021, 2019 feels like a long time ago, but.
Anything pre-COVID feels like a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like that COVID era being 5 years ago, and then everything else, like the Preds going to the Stanley Cup was pre-COVID. The Titans being in the AFC Championship was in 2020, but it was January of 2020, and then the world ended.
Yeah.
So it does exacerbate that feeling a lot more. It makes that drought feel way longer than it actually is because it hasn't been that long. I mean, hell, in 2022, they were 7-3, 7-4. When they fired John, they were in the lead of the division, and then the bottom fell out like you've never seen. So they have been, in the last 10 years, I would say, pretty soundly, a Tier 2 organization. And I might be willing to drop the Colts out of that first tier if we're doing the last, because this is 25 years, this graphic. I would be very comfortable dropping the Colts since 2015 out of Tier 1 status.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You have a tiny little blip there with Andrew Luck. And even nothing since then.
Wasn't Andrew Luck's last season was 17?
18. He announced his retirement before the 19 season.
Okay. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to get to some Charles Barkley sound from the weekend coming up next. We also have your last call for phone calls. If you got them, what's the latest on the Lady Vols and the Women's College World Series?
Bottom of the 5th, Tennessee at the plate with 1 out. They are trailing 1-0 to Texas. This is win or go home for Tennessee. A win forces a rematch for a spot in the championship series. The rematch would theoretically happen later today, but the Lady Vols have to win this one. So now 2 outs, bottom of the 5th.
All right. Keep you updated on that. Remember that the baseball team for Tennessee is back in action at 5 p.m. Central Time this evening. They're going to try and keep their season alive against Wake Forest after losing yesterday. So, like I said, we'll update those polls. We'll wrap it up. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls if you got them. Fast show today. A lot to do on a Monday. We've got OTAs tomorrow, so Lucas and Robert will be holding it down here. I'll be at the practice facility. We'll call and check in. Hopefully, Tweedledee and Tweedledip have a better plan for that segment. That's not a fine.
No, that's the fee that you have to pay us for hosting the show, so you can go gallivant around Titan.
What do you think you're worth? I'll be this.
What are you going to do me like the welding teachers do? What are you worth? What should I pay you for doing this weld here?
That's what I did with Ross when I told him I didn't want to do my own social media posts anymore. How much is it going to pay? How much is it going to cost me to pay you to do this? And he just gave me a number.
You have to buy us lunch.
Lunch.
We'll work for food.
Okay. I could do lunch.
Hattie B's. Little grilled chicken.
What are you doing there?
Accident.
Okay.
I was making a mistake because I'm human, unlike you robot.
Speaking of mistakes, are the Patriots regretting signing Stephon Diggs? Now, did you see him and Cardi B over the weekend? I don't know if you're TMZing that often, but completely unbothered. There's just videos of them going around on the internet, just hanging out at the clubs. Nothing to see here. No bags of pink substance in that particular situation, but unbothered by the Instagram thoughts and the alleged suspect-looking powder situation that he had on that boat. The NFL was asked for comment about it, not Vrabel, not the Patriots, but the NFL, and the NFL declined comment on the Stephon Diggs situation. The contract that they gave him, it's 3 years, $63.5. But it's as monopoly money a contract as I've ever seen. And it was interesting because Scott Zolak, who is the Patriots Network radio analyst, apparently on some Boston sports platform, I don't know if he was doing a radio hit or if he's hosting a show, I'm unfamiliar, but I saw the quote making the round about Zolak hinting as a team employee that the Patriots not could cut Stephon Diggs, but would think about cutting Stephon Diggs, given that there is almost no money attached to releasing him at this point in time. His first year, the guaranteed money on it was only $25 million in total of that $63.5, and the only guaranteed that he got at signing was $16.6. It is a very minimal cap hit. I mean, hell, the deal is structured so they can get out from under it at the end of the season anyway.
$8.7 million cap hit this year. Next year, that cap hit balloons up to $26.5 million. The dead cap for the potential out after this season would be $9.7 million.
So there is very little money associated, especially given how much more money they still have. It would be a drop in the bucket if they were just so fed up with the Stephon Diggs stuff already that they let him walk. For a player that's coming off an ACL repair, that's longer in the tooth and was, I don't know, when was the best version of Stephon Diggs? I think it was the second to last year he was in Buffalo. Not even the last year he was in Buffalo.
Yeah. It might have been him throwing the helmet off in that Vikings game. Like, that was probably the best version of him.
The best version of him, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you guys wondering where Cardi B is at in all of this? Like, if she's upset that she was being flirted with? Because you saw he went viral once again this weekend for an intimate video of them, not being intimate, but an intimate video.
What were you doing when I started the segment with that exact thing?
I was making a mistake with the audio, but you don't have the quote. You don't have the quote, damn it. What's the quote? What's the quote? Start the segment, boy. Come on now.
Start the segment, boy.
From an insider, Cardi B says, girls will throw themselves at him all the time, but wishes he wouldn't be a scumbag and flirt back as they're trouble in paradise.
Oh, no.
That's a quote from her?
That is a quote from an insider with intimate knowledge about the issue.
I don't know. They looked fine in the videos I saw this weekend. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, well, he did. I don't know if she did.
No, she's the one throwing it back. She didn't look bothered.
Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors just for that reason.
I also want to play this Charles Barkley audio before we wrap up for the day because Charles was the only one. Well, actually, Ernie didn't drop an F-bomb, but Kenny and Shaq definitely did on their last Inside the NBA, NBA on TNT, NBA on Turner, really, is how most of us know it, broadcast where the Pacers were able to handle the Knicks and send them home to New York in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6. It was always Sirs in 6. But as a part of that, we no longer get, like, the worst part of this is that ESPN is the one doing, and I really have very little issue with, like, ESPN as a broadcast entity and all these different things, but, like, I hate their NBA coverage. Malika Andrews is, I think, as about as professional a human being as exists in our business. And I've got no ill will. Like, I enjoy Michael Wilbon. I enjoy Stephen A. Smith. For some reason, their NBA cut, well, I know exactly why, because there's like 30 seconds of talking and then they throw to 17 more commercials. It's not programming. It's just space that they use to plug commercials in between. So the fact that they are now the ones handling the NBA Finals is disappointing. And also because we don't have the NBA on Turner anymore is inside the NBA in some form or fashion. With all of it sounds like a lot of their production people are going too, which is a smart play by ESPN, so they keep as much of the show intact as humanly possible. But this was Charles Barkley wrapping things up before Ernie Johnson had the final word on the Inside the NBA coverage.
Yeah, listen, obviously, I got lucky and made one of the best decisions ever. I was obviously going to go to NBC. And a friend of mine, Michael Jackson, says, come to have dinner at Turner to make me look good. And these guys took me out to dinner. And after 5 hours, I had to call the great Dick Ebersol and say, hey, man, I'm going to change my mind. I want to thank Dick Ebersol for making me think about doing television. But I want to thank Mark Lazarus, who hired me, David Levy, my old boss, and Tara August, my best friend. She's been there for me the whole time. I just want to thank every single person who's been at Turner with me the last 25 years. 25 years. Some of these people have had kids. They come see us for their prom. They come back when they graduate college, and now they're bringing newborns in. So if you with people that long, they are your family. And I just want to thank everybody at Turner for the last 25 years. It's been an honor, and I'm grateful and thankful. And also to ESPN, it's going to be an honor and a privilege to work for you guys. You guys are the #1 sports network in history, and I'm excited for it. You guys got some tremendous talents over there. I'm looking forward to co-working with those guys. But like I say, man, I just want to say thank you to the NBA, every coach I've had, every player I played with for giving me this magnificent life that I've had. I am so lucky and blessed. I'm lucky and blessed. And I want to thank TNT. And even though we'll never say TNT Sports again, I want to thank TNT for giving me a magnificent life.
Well, that was nice.
It's better than Shaq and Kenny being like, yeah, F them. We're coming for all your stuff. Bleep our new coworkers.
Good balance. Good to have balance.
Ernie, I don't know which one almost got me more. Like, I didn't, get dusty or anything like that. But it's like it's an incredibly long run that collection of people had together. And it's, they've just been a part of our lives for so long. They've been a part of each other's lives, clearly, for so long. Their families and all those different things that Chuck mentioned. But Ernie really got me because he's been baseball for Turner. He's been basketball for Turner. Ernie Johnson, to me, is Turner Sports.
Oh, yeah. Basically his entire career.
Yes.
Like, that doesn't happen. That's insane. That dude has been based out of Atlanta broadcasting for Turner for basically his entire career. I mean, I don't think there's a single sports host, pace setter, point guard, studio desk type of host like Ernie Turner, that when he gets into that, like
Ernie Turner, God knows it's not you.
Yeah, I know. Ernie Johnson, might as well call him Ernie Turner.
I was about to say, that's not bad.
But when he gets into that, like, spacing out his words, talking about something emotional and very carefully selecting his words and what he's going to say, that, I don't know, man, things get dusty. Like, that dude knows how to bring out some emotion in a segment.
Well, it's authentic. It's like anything else that we talk about. Like, I believe Ernie Johnson, everything you read about him, everything you know about him. I don't know how much you know about his family dynamic or seen all the different things that him and his wife go through in the care of their child. They've got a special needs child that they go so far above and beyond for. Like, Ernie Johnson is just a genuine human being. What are you going to say that's going to ruin all of this goodwill and good vibes back there? What have you got?
Do you guys know what he did before he signed with TNT in 1990?
I have no idea.
He got to call Atlanta Braves baseball games with his dad.
That's lovely.
Very neat.
That's like Joe Buck showing up to speak to one of my sports broadcasting classes at Indiana because he didn't actually graduate and just being like, yeah, I did Cardinals games with my dad. I just kind of walked into the booth. Okay, Joe.
Sounds like Ian's kid.
What's his name?
Noah Eagle?
Nah,
Lucas's nemesis.
I wasn't going to give him the.
Look at Lucas. Look at Lucas. They're cosplaying as one another. Except
Hey,
Noah
much
Eagle's
better
the
than him,
successful
Lucas.
one.
You have his milk, looks wise.
Man's got an advantage. Be a fool not to use it.
All right, let's do some polls.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What tier would you put the Titans in as an NFL organization? 1 through 4, 1 being the best. 56% put them in tier 3 as an organization in the NFL.
I'll put them in 4, just because there's a lot of heavy lifting being done by like 2 draft classes there in the last 10 years. But as a football team on the field, they are a tier 2 organization.
34.7% voted tier 4. That was the second most votes. Third most went to 2. Only 2.7% voted tier 1.
Yeah, those people are still drunk from the weekend.
Who is currently a better baseball program? Tennessee or Vanderbilt? 71.4% voting Tennessee. In totality, as a program. Vandy, 19 straight postseason appearances.
Yeah, no, it's still Vandy to me, but
Still
Tennessee
have the extra title. Haven't been to Supers in 4 years.
Tennessee is a national champion most recently. That recency bias is probably going to carry a lot of weight on social media, but Vanderbilt historically is the better baseball program.
I think if Tennessee pulls even on national titles with Corbin,
I'm totally prepared to have that discussion, but it's really damn hard to do, and Tennessee has not had an easy go in their title defense.
Right now, there's no question who's in a better place, but big picture, I get the argument for Vanderbilt, for sure.
Yeah.
Will ESPN ruin Inside the NBA? 90% think yes, they will. Those are the polls.
Man, that would be unfortunate. Hopefully not. We had a good time today. Looking forward to getting back on prime time. It won't be at a racetrack tonight, 7 p.m. is where we can hang out. We got Tennessee baseball on deck at 5. Have a great rest of your afternoon.